The Great Wall of China is the longest and the largest engineering structure in the world. This wall stretches 21,196 kilometers on the geographical map of China and was registered in the World Heritage List in 1987. The Great Wall of China was completed in 20 years during the reign of Shi Huang. The rulers before him had built parts of this wall to prevent the invasion of the desert tribes. Qin Shi Huang connected the different parts of this wall together to form a 2,400 kilometers long fortress, with 25,000 guard towers on the northern border of the wall. To build this wall, ordinary people, most of whom were farmers, were used. The Chinese already in the spring and autumn period between the 8th and 5th century BC, they were familiar with wall building techniques. During this and the subsequent Warring States period, the states of China, Wei, Zhao, Qi, Han, Yan, and Zhongshan all built extensive fortifications to defend their borders, built to withstand attacks from small weapons such as swords and spears. These walls were mostly made of stone or by ramming dirt and sand between plank frames. The Great Wall of Han is the longest wall, from Mamitu near Yumengguan to Liaodong. King Jing of Qin crushed the last of his opponents and established China as the first emperor of the Qin dynasty, Qin Shi Huang, in 221 BC. United aiming to impose centralized government and prevent the re-emergence of feudal lords. He ordered the destruction of parts of the walls that divided his empire between the former states. However, to confront the Xiongnu people from the north, he ordered the construction of new walls to connect the remaining fortifications along the northern border of the empire. Build and move on was a major guiding principle in the construction of the wall, meaning that the Chinese did not create a fixed border forever. It was difficult to transport the large amount of materials needed for construction, so builders always tried to use local sources. Rocks from the mountains were used over the mountain ranges, while rammed earth was used for construction in the plains. There are no historical documents that show the exact length and route of the walls of Can. Most of the ancient walls have been eroded over the centuries, and very few parts remain today. The human cost of construction is unknown, but it has been estimated by some authors that hundreds of thousands of workers died in the construction of the Great Wall of China. Later, the Han, Northern dynasties, and Sui all repaired, rebuilt, or expanded parts of the Great Wall to defend themselves against northern invaders. The Tang and Song dynasties did not make any significant efforts in the region. Dynasties founded by non-Han ethnic groups also built their own border walls, the northern Wei under the Xianbai, the Liao under the Khitan, the Jin under the Jurchen, and the western Xia founded by the Tangut, who ruled vast swaths of northern China for centuries. They built defensive walls, but these walls were located to the north of the other Great Walls that we know, in the Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region of China and in present-day Mongolia itself. The concept of the Great Wall was revived under Ming rule, in the 14th century after the Ming army was defeated by the Uyghurs at the Battle of Tumu. After successive battles, the Ming had not been able to gain a clear advantage over the Mongol tribes, and the prolonged conflict was taking its toll on the empire. By building walls along China's northern border, the Ming adopted a new strategy to keep out the nomadic tribes. Acknowledging Mongol control of the Ordos Desert, the wall followed the southern edge of the desert rather than skirting the bend of the Yellow River. Unlike the previous fortifications, the Ming building was stronger and more precise due to the use of bricks and stones instead of rammed earth. It is estimated that up to 25,000 watchtowers were built on the wall. As Mongol attacks continued periodically over the years, the Ming devoted considerable resources to repairing and strengthening the walls. Sections close to the Ming capital of Beijing were particularly strong. Between 1567 and 1570, Qi Jiguang also repaired and strengthened the wall, covered parts of the earthen wall with bricks, and built 1,200 watchtowers from Shanhaiguan Pass to Chumping to warn of approaching Mongol invaders. During the 1440s to 1460s, the Ming also built the so-called Liaodong Wall, similar in function to the Great Wall, which was, in a sense, an extension of it, but more substantial in construction. The Liaodong Wall enclosed the agricultural center of Liaodong Province, and protected it from possible invasions by the Oryang and Jurchen Mongols from the northwest, and the Jurchens of Jiangsu from the west. North protected. While stones and tiles were used in some parts of the Liaodong Wall, most of it was actually an earthen embankment with ditches on either side. In the late Ming period, the Great Wall helped defend the empire against Manchu invasions that began around 1600. Even after losing all of Liaodong, the Ming army held the heavily fortified Shanhaira Pass and prevented the Manchus from conquering mainland China. The Manchus were finally able to break through the Great Wall in 1644, after Beijing had already fallen to the short-lived Shunli Zicheng dynasty. Before this time, the Manchus had crossed the Great Wall several times to attack, but this time it was for conquest. The gates of the Shanai Pass were opened on May the 25th by the Ming general Wu Sangui, who allied with the Manchus and hoped to use the Manchus to drive the rebels out of Beijing. The Manchus quickly captured Beijing, and eventually defeated both the Shun dynasty and the remaining Ming resistance, establishing Qing rule over all of China. Under the Qing, China's borders expanded beyond the walls and Mongolia was annexed to the empire, so construction on the Great Wall stopped. On the other hand, the so-called Willow Palace, which follows a similar line to the Ming Liaodong Wall, was built by the Qing rulers in Manchuria. But its purpose was not to defend, but to prevent Han people from migrating to Manchuria. None of the Europeans who visited China or Mongolia in the 13th and 14th centuries, such as Giovanni da Pian del Carpin, William of Rubruck, Marco Polo, Odric of Pordenone, and Giovanni de Marinoli, mentioned the Great Wall. North African traveler Ibn Battuta, who also visited China during the Yuan dynasty. 1346, probably before entering China, he had heard about the Great Wall of China. He wrote in his travel book, "Gift to those who think about the wonders of cities and the wonders of travel, that the wall is 60 days of travel from Zieten, modern Chuanzhou." He linked it to the legend of the wall mentioned in the Quran, which is said to have been built by Dhul-Qarnayn, usually associated with Alexander the Great, to protect the people near the land of the rising sun from the barbarians of Gog and Magog. However, Ibn Battuta could not find anyone who saw it, or knew anyone who saw it, suggesting that although there were remnants of the wall at the time, they were of little importance. Soon after Europeans arrived in Ming China by ship in the early 16th century, reports of the Great Wall began circulating in Europe, which was not visited by any European for another century. Probably one of the first European descriptions of the wall, and its importance for the defense of the country against the Tartars, i.e., the Mongols, may be the one in the 1563 Asia of Joao de Barros. Other early accounts in Western sources include those of Gaspar da Cruz, Bento de Gas, Mateo Ricci, and Bishop Juan González de Mendoza, the latter of whom described it in 1585 as an extraordinary and powerful work of architecture, although he had said, but he had not seen it. In 1559, Gaspar da Cruz presented an initial discussion about the Great Wall in his work, Treatise on China and the Adjacent Regions. Perhaps the first recorded instance of a European entering China via the Great Wall was in 1605, when Bento de Guise arrived from India at the Jiayu Pass in the northwest. Early European accounts were mostly modest and experimental, and fully reflected the contemporary Chinese understanding of the wall, although later they went into hyperbole, including the erroneous claim that the Ming walls were the same as those built by the first emperor in the 3rd century BCE were made. When China opened its borders to foreign traders and visitors after losing the First and Second Opium Wars, the Great Wall became a major tourist attraction. The travel books of the late 19th century showed more of the fame of the Great Wall. This Great Wall was built to protect China from Mongol invaders. Around 246 BC, China was divided into small states. King Shi Huangti unified different parts of China. Mongols lived in the north of this empire. Fearing that they might invade China at any time, the king ordered the construction of the Great Wall of China to protect the country from danger. So they built a wall that started from Sichuan in Powai Bay and reached Chaikumen in Gansu. Patrolling soldiers sent signals quickly along the road that ran along the wall. None of the kings achieved their goal by building the wall, because the wall broke in many places, and the Mongols found the opportunity to attack China. The Great Wall might never have been built, but they could build it. Chinese and foreign tourists feel proud of walking the wall. Even the heads of many foreign countries do not miss the opportunity to visit this great work. Some parts of the Great Wall of China are well preserved, including Battling Wall near Beijing, Sima Tai Wall, Mushinyu Wall, Shanhai Guan Gate at the eastern end of the Great Wall of China, which is called the First Gate of China, and Jiaogan Gate at the western end in Gansu. These sections are also very famous and scenic places of the wall, and are visited by many tourists throughout the year. The Great Wall of China is the embodiment of the wisdom and suffering of millions of Chinese in ancient China. Repair of the Chinese Wall. In one of the most remote corners of China, a part of the Great Wall of China is being restored by local people. In this area, it is not possible to use trucks for transportation. Local residents move the bricks by mule. A satellite image of a section of the Great Wall of China, running diagonally from bottom left to top right, with a river running from top left to bottom right. The claim that this wall is the only man-made phenomenon that can be seen from space has been denied many times, but it still has a place in the common people's belief. In fact, many man-made phenomena can be seen from space, especially in the nightlight, but distinguishing the Great Wall of China with it is absolutely impossible for the unaided eye to see from anywhere in Earth's orbit. Apollo astronauts have not made this claim, and even astronauts orbiting the Earth can hardly make such a claim. It is said that this idea was proposed by Richard Halliburton a few decades before the first landing on the surface of the Moon. It has been quoted from one of the astronauts that the Great Wall of China disappears from a height of about 180 miles and is no longer visible.